Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our third episode of Edusations. I have a very special guest today, Eryka. Eryka, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Well, first, thank you for having me. I'm super excited for this. My name's Eryka Desrosiers. I teach English as a second language and Spanish as a third language in Quebec, Canada. And I wrote a book on the beginnings of teaching, like the first year's teaching. For some reason, that's pretty much it for now.
Hey, it's a great legacy to already have a book published. You told me it was currently published. It's published in Canada, right?
Yes, it's published in Canada. It's in French for the moment because just because it's in Quebec, I felt like I should write it in French for the first time. And good news is I've translated it in English. It's just that it's not published yet.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yes.
So you said that you teach an ESL program and that you were trying something new this year. Do you want to tell the viewers of the show what that was?
Yeah, so this year, for the first time, I started using Genius Hour, implementing Genius Hour. And so that isn't new. A lot of people do Genius Hour. But although I really liked it, at the same time, I was a little disappointed because it felt like just a little smidge of something going on. And then it was hard to keep up with the projects and stuff that my students were doing and all that. So yeah, it kind of made me want to do more next year and get rid of everything that's clouding that creativity around it. And since it is ESL, well, my job is to teach them to read, understand, speak, and write in English. So I thought that was very doable with any kind of personal passion project or something like that. And that's what I'm doing starting in September. And I'm sure it's going to be really fun because it's June right now and I just can't wait to get started with planning and organizing for next year. So I think that's a good sign.
That's awesome. I love that you're doing the Genius Hour with the ELL students. I feel like for the most part, whenever educators, well, I don't want to say for the most part because that wouldn't be accurate. I feel like there is a significant number of educators who, whenever they see ELL students, they think, oh, I can't do something new and innovative with them because they don't have the language. They don't have a language proficiency yet. But it sounds like, you're recognizing and obviously, right on being a published author and a teacher of ELL students that these students are perfectly capable of doing it. They might need some modifications to help them get through some of the barriers, but they're absolutely like, yeah, this is doable. I can do this, empowering them to feel that way.
Plus, my goal is for them to be motivated to learn, really. So why not make it a passion project and guide them along the way and stuff? So I'm going to do this at the high school level with 9th and 11th graders, possibly 8th graders as well, but with slight modifications because they have more trouble with the language. But there will be something similar. And what I want them to do to get them reading and stuff on their passion projects will be, I stole this idea from Nate Green. Nate, if you're listening, hi. So he has a website with all kinds of texts where people, well, not texts, but Twitter feeds and all that the students could go look at and try and kind of choose something to read in the morning. And that's what I want to do with my students. I'm going to collect different Twitter feeds on different subjects for the students to get started, even just exploring.
That's awesome.
Because what I've noticed this year is that, I guess not surprisingly, students don't really know what they're interested in besides watching Netflix and gaming. They don't really know what to do.
A great 4-day Genius Hour project is coming your way this fall,
I know. But even then, when I ask them, like, is there something you could do with that? They're like, no, I just want to play. Like, no. But anyways, it's also about building that mindset. Yeah. I'm sorry, what did you say last
time? I said at least they're honest,
Yeah, exactly.
What's the majority ELL population there? Like here in the States, we have a very fast growing Hispanic population, and so we have a lot of Spanish speakers. Is that the same up in Canada, or are there different groups?
Well, Honestly, I'm in more of a rural area, so
Okay,
we're kind of close to like bigger cities, but we're pretty small. So my student population is really more French native speakers,
gotcha.
and it's pretty homogenous. There's not much diversity and stuff. So another goal of mine is to kind of open them to the outside world, because some of my students have never been to Montreal, which is about an hour away from where we live, and they don't know what's out there. They're pretty like they're all in their bubble here, and they don't see what's going on everywhere else. So I find it important to open them to the outside world. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all. Have you thought about like a way that they could, and I don't know if you have this plan, and if not, that's totally fine too. Have you thought about any ways for them to be able to take their Genius Hour and kind of share that out too, to maybe bring in
Yeah.
some more stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. So this year, especially with my 11th graders, I pushed them a lot to reach out to people to get some expertise and stuff like that, especially with Twitter, but sometimes with Facebook as well. And also, I strongly suggested to them to either have a podcast or a YouTube channel or a blog, so that they could just document what they're doing.
I like that.
Yeah, well, to be quite honest, it didn't work that well, because I don't think I did that great of a job getting setting the stone at the very beginning, like introducing them to that mindset, because I'm in a very traditional setting here, and just unlearning that is kind of difficult, but I think I'll do a better job next year. I've learned a lot.
Does your school use Google, or what do you use as
No.
platforms for blogs and podcasts, or YouTube channel? Do you recommend any to them, or do you just kind of say, go out and find it on your own and then report back?
Mm. At first, I let them go on their own,
Hmm.
but a lot of them aren't that familiar with any kind of tech, and they live on farms, and they're really good at that. But I had to introduce them to different technology. So yeah, I suggested a few, but they're familiar with YouTube. That they're really good at, but blogging,
English
not
language.
many. Yeah, that's it. So yeah, I did introduce a few, and quite a few decided to blog after all, but I don't think they got the why. Like, why is it important, and how can it be beneficial? What can you learn from that? Because I have a lot of students who still feel like if they are not told what to do, and if they don't have like a set of criteria to respect and stuff, well, they're not doing anything. They're just kind of wasting their time. So it's kind of getting past that and stuff. And I'm thinking that because next year I'm making it on a much larger scale, I think it's going to be much better, and my students are going to get it quicker, because they're going to be spending all their time just creating and trying to find ways to solve problems and stuff.
Yeah, and it sounds like a lot of this stuff too is having students build in their own ownership. So they have to take a lot of responsibility for the learning. How do you help the students kind of arrive to that point where it's like, wow, like I'm the one driving the car right now?
Yeah, it's crazy, because a lot of them have, well, not a lot of them, I'd say like most of them have never had that chance. So when I tell them, like, don't expect me to have all these answers, like, you have to find them, they're like, really?
What?
And it takes, yeah, you don't know everything? Like,
Oh
what's
my
going
goodness.
on? I'm in the wrong class. So yeah, that's what I try to do. I just show them that I'm not an expert at most things. You guys as a whole know so much more than I can ever know in a lifetime. I'm just trying to guide you and giving you the tools and opportunity to do things like that. So it's a little bit of that. It's a little bit of switching roles and just giving them the permission to fail and try again. Even if that means changing their project 10 times, I just want them to know that that's okay. I just want them to test the waters, because like the greatest win I had this year was a student who came to see me at the end of the year, and she left me a little note, and she said, thanks to Genius Hour, I now know what I want to do with my life.
That's
And like,
awesome. That's awesome.
just even if I just have one, like I've reached my goal. It's good.
Tell me you have like a sunshine box to put that note in. That is awesome.
Yeah, it's pinned on my wall now with her
So
picture.
outside of helping your ELL students, you also help out the teachers and the professional side of Twitter as well. You host your own Ed Chat Teacher Wellness. You want to tell people about that for those that aren't familiar with it?
Sure. Well, that initiative started with Maura O'Reilly because we started talking at some point. I think I reached out to her because she has a blog and she was talking about teacher burnout and stuff. And not many people talk about it, even though it's it takes such a big place in teaching, unfortunately. So I reached out to her and I said, maybe there's something we could do and work together on that. And we decided to host a chat together on just teacher wellness and everything involving best practices in teaching and what we can do to be to find our own purpose, to find tools, and just a great teacher tribe, I guess. And you're often part of that chat too. And it's so great to have like that circle of teachers who are just positive and are trying to make a difference. It changes the working environment a lot.
Yeah, and so if people want to join that, Sundays at 8:30 Eastern time, 8:30 p.m.,
Exactly.
make sure that you swing by because Eryka and Maura have some great questions and some great conversations are born out of it whenever people gather and answer.
Well, sweet. Thank you for plugging that in.
Shameless
Nice.
plugs, right? We're all about them
Yes,
here.
absolutely.
We're all about them here at Edusations. And speaking of shameless plugs, you're also starting a new adventure. You're starting your own podcast. What's the deal with that? What's the premise?
So I'm calling it my Teacher Shoes. That's the name of my podcast. And basically, I realized throughout the year that I was pushing my students to document what they're doing and the journey they're going on. And I'm like, but I'm not doing that myself. Like I do so many things outside of the classroom where I'm kind of trying to find answers to my questions and all that. So yeah, my Teacher Shoes is basically my podcast and the journey I'm going on to finding ways to become a better, more innovative teacher, and just bringing on great guests. I'm going to have, well, I have quite a few teachers already. Might have some, no, I have had students as well, leaders, looking for entrepreneurs as well. Just, I find that all of those people together mean a lot to teaching, even though they are not all teachers. It's important to connect like the outside world to teaching. And I, for one, started listening to podcasts just this year, and I've been blown away by just the amazing guests people have on and all that rich information and inspiration, motivation. It's all there. So yeah, I thought I'd do one myself. And I almost launched my first episode yesterday, but just have a few more things to work out because I'm a recovering perfectionist. So
Gotcha.
I'll try to have it this week, hopefully. They say it's better late than never. So
That's right. I love podcasting simply for the fact that I think it's very cathartic for us. You know, I remember whenever I was in college, the only way that we could reflect was we had to fill out this like 3-page reflection paper. And so whenever I first started teaching, the one thing I knew I didn't want to do was reflect. And then once I realized, oh, there's different ways to do that, it became a lot cooler as well.
Absolutely.
So
we learn by talking with each other and exchanging ideas, and just growing together is really an amazing opportunity. Plus, what I love about podcasting is I can talk with so many people and have an excuse to do so. So it's great.
Yeah, exactly. Well, hey, Eryka, we're starting to get to the magical moment where our time is running up. I want to make sure viewers get to know you a little better. So I've got fast 5 questions. Like I told you before the show, these are 5 questions totally unrelated to education, just to kind of see your perspective on a couple things. So you ready?
Yep.
Okay, let's start with the first one. Pancakes or waffles?
Pancakes.
Okay. I'm typically a waffle fan, but Mrs. Strunk, LB, my wife, she's a big pancake fan.
Okay,
How about
that's
the beach or the mountains?
Ooh, I'd say the beach. Love the water. Yeah.
Where do you go to the beach?
Well, there's a beach in town here, but
Cool.
yeah, that's the closest one.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah.
Coffee or tea?
Ooh, that's hard. Coffee in the morning, tea any other time.
Okay. I love the smell of coffee. I cannot stand the taste. About the only thing I can drink are those Starbucks double chocolate chip frappuccinos, and that's about it. And
Well,
I think because I
actually,
can't
I
taste.
think I started drinking coffee like a year ago or something. Yeah, and it's not really a coffee; it's more like a dessert because I put maple syrup in it. So yeah.
I love it. Okay, next one. This can be your least favorite between the two: mice or snakes.
Snakes because they can be dangerous. Yeah.
Okay, very Indiana Jones-esque. And last one: favorite fast food location.
Hmm. I'm a vegetarian, so fast foods are typically
Okay.
not really
Little tough then, huh?
vegetarian friendly, I
Yeah.
guess. I used to like in McDonald's, they used to have a vegetarian like wrap and they ditched it. So I'm like, okay, no more.
Did it change? Oh,
Yeah, they disappointed me.
there you go. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Eryka. Do you have any final words before we sign off for the day?
Just thank you for having me on. And if anyone wants to connect with me or reach out to me on Twitter, I'd be glad to talk with you or help you with anything, learn from you. That'd be great. And come by our Twitter chat, listen to my podcast. Any suggestions and comments? I love having the brutal feedback. I actually asked my students to do that, and it was eye-opening and really helped me a lot.
Good. Well, hey, Eryka's Twitter chat information will be in the headings below, but Teacher Wellness meets 8:30 p.m. on Sunday, so be sure to check that out. And again, her Twitter handle is going to be at the bottom. Thank you all so much for watching today. Please be sure to give us a subscribe, and we will talk to you next time on Edusations.